What's going on, guys? It is Faze Simp here, and today I'm be giving you my second Q&A. A couple weeks ago, I tweeted out asking you guys for some questions, and today I will be answering them. I picked about 15 to 20 questions I thought were good, and if you didn't tell already, my mic, audio situation a little bit different here in my apartment. First time recording here with this headset, and I still have a lot to figure out with the SteelSeries settings, considering I don't record with these at home. So, yeah. Either way, hopefully you guys do enjoy this Q&A, and let's just get right into it. This first question comes from Raw the Monster, the homie, and he asks, can you recall a specific instance during a match that gave you the most intense adrenaline rush? And honestly, I feel like a match specifically that gave me the most intense adrenaline rush was Black Ops 4 Champs, and that's because I feel like that's when I really felt the nerves the most, in my opinion. I feel like out of all tournaments, that then and there was like when I was like feeling it. And I don't know, I feel like ever since then there hasn't really been anything. In a normal match, like online, I feel like it'd have to be it was a 1v3 Cold War versus Paris. And I got pretty hyped after that, and I feel like, for an online match I got super hyped. So yeah, this next question comes from my guy Apox, and he says stress, anxiety, and many other factors play a huge role in professional sports around the world. What are some things you do that help deal with those outside pressures? And honestly, I feel like dealing with stress and anxiety is something that everybody kind of has to do, and it's something that I feel like a lot of people kind of deal with in their own ways. And for me personally, I feel like spending a lot of my time either like relaxing or like not relaxing, but like decompressing from like scrims, because I feel like what a lot of people don't know is like how much time really gets put into like being a pro. So I feel like just making sure you're doing a good job of like chilling out, especially if you have like, a hard day of scrims or just, a day where you're just getting extra frustrated. It's good to kind of like make sure you lay back. So just, make sure you're doing things you enjoy. This next question comes from Justin, and he asks, how do you bounce back from a really bad map? What do you guys go over? In scrims, here, I'll answer this in two parts. When you have a bad map, I feel like if you're in a series and you have a bad map, you have to just make sure you're keeping your eye on like the overall goal of winning the series, and not so much worrying about how you're performing in the series. Because if I go 10 and 30 but we win by 150 points, like, what can I really be mad about? And I feel like if you kind of use that mindset throughout all the maps in a series in a match, then I don't know, nothing's really stopping you. And for the second part, what do you guys go over? Whenever we do go over VOD, it's like going over certain situations or like trying to just figure out how to precisely fix like certain mistakes that are consistently being made that the coaches see. And besides that, it's really just kind of like trying to improvise certain metas and try and tweak certain things. It's really like small minuscule things that we watch over, but we do it every single day. So this next question comes from Dylan Hayes, and he asks, after you're done competing in COD, what do you see yourself doing? Me personally, I would like to go into either like coaching side of things or like the management side of things. And if it's outside of COD, I'd probably have to want to do something with like computers, or something with coding maybe. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out what I really want to do like outside of COD still. This next question comes from K-Tax, and he asks, who's the player you looked up to the most when growing up watching competitive COD? And honestly, personally, being a sub player, I feel like what most sub players will say is like, Nate or Scump. And I feel like if they don't say that, for the most part, I don't know, I feel like they're kind of lying, because yeah, like you can, there are different answers to this, but I feel like when it comes down to it, like those two inspired for the most part everybody else. And like I said, there's still like a lot of other players that could have got you into COD, but I feel like when it comes down to it, like those were the guys for the most part. This next question comes from Pete, and he asks, what was your favorite moment in your career so far? My favorite moment in my career is probably winning one of the two champs. I know that's probably not obviously, but it definitely is an obvious answer. But I feel like both of them are like held at the same like height for me in my eyes, just because in one eyes, like I won before champs, and it was my first year competing. I went back to back, and like it was just a really good like I don't know, just my first year competing. It was like everything went well for me for my first couple events. You know what I mean? And winning champs your first year is not something that anyone really gets to say they did. But then on the other side, I feel like Cold War champs, we had one of the most in my opinion, I feel like one of the most winningest years we've seen in a while, and being able to win champs on top of winning most of the events that year was just a perfect way to end the year. This next question comes from Kamikaze Moment, and he says, "You won in CWL and CDL era. What was more difficult? More games or tougher competitions? How would you change current bracket format?" To answer the first question, I feel like it's difficult to win in both eras, but I feel like it really depends what kind of player you are to see what difficulty it is. Like in CWL, you had to kind of catch momentum in matches, and you played 2, 3, 4 times a day, because there were so many teams to play. And when you're a team that can catch momentum and kind of ride momentum, you're gonna be just getting better and better as time goes on because you're just gonna be playing more maps, you're gonna be winning. And if you're slamming, you're going to keep on slamming. Whereas now I feel like a lot of the matches, there's a lot more weight on the matches because there's not many. So you have to be very perfect in the one match you kind of have. Otherwise, you're going to spend the entire month like leading up to a tournament just to get like rounded. So I don't know. In my opinion, it's very difficult in both ways. And honestly, I don't really think we could change the bracket format right now. I feel like you need more teams to do that. So until we see expansion, I don't really think we could really see anything much change. This next question comes from Black Flag, and he asks, "Did your early lane experience help you perform better once you made it into the league, especially with all these grand finals appearances?" And I think my early lane experience, like all the local lanes I went to when I was like 16, 17, the years before I was pro, I feel like definitely helped me have confidence going to LAN. Because I feel like a lot of the time, if you don't have experience and you only play online and you have to go in person, I feel like just having to change your environment when you've never really done it is a hurdle in itself. So I feel like being able to just be comfortable adapting and playing on different, setups was super impactful for me because, I was able to play on like anything, any situation. I was just comfortable being uncomfortable. So this next question comes from All Lux, and he asks, "Have you ever had / have any personal goals you have wanted to achieve in your time competing?" I have accomplished goals I had, and I also have, more goals that I haven't made. And, obviously, I won champs. I feel like that's a goal everybody has in their career. Winning an event, even, I feel like isn't something everyone gets to say. And I don't know. I feel like personally, I've done a lot of things like have like an MVP, like team of the year stuff, and just I feel like being um as highly praised as I am is just a blessing and a goal in itself. So yeah, I've accomplished goals there, but I also want more. As bad as that sounds, I want to win more. I want to be known better. I just want to be known as the best ever. So I feel like there's always going to be more goals to achieve, and there's always going to be things to just do. So until I'm done competing, there's always going to be some goals. This next question comes from Apo Cod Official, and he asks, "What's the hardest part of being a professional Call of Duty player?" And honestly, after experiencing the way scrims have went over the last couple years has changed. And honestly, I feel like the hardest part about being a pro COD player now is just the limited amounts of like time you have to do things. I feel like people don't really understand how little time you do have as a Call of Duty player to get things done during a day. Especially if you don't have a good sleeping schedule. I mean, some people do, some people don't. But if you're waking up at like 10 o'clock, you literally only have like an hour and a half, 2 hours to get stuff done. Otherwise, you're gonna have to wait till the next day because it's just you don't have any time. Like for us as a team, we get on at 1 and we don't get off probably till like 7 or 8. And like I don't know, like I said, like unless you have like a good sleeping schedule, getting trying to do stuff is just very not possible sometimes. So it's definitely difficult to find time during the day. This next question comes from HM Cod, and he asks, "Did you expect to join Faze when it was a franchising switch, or when it was the franchising switch?" Okay. And honestly, I didn't really know what to expect going from CWO to CDL. The only thing that was really 100% was going on was I was in contact with Tyler, he's my duo. Just making sure we're trying to stick together, trying to figure out what our situation was. And I think there wasn't really many teams we were interested in or talked to even before we had the Faze offer, because I think, if I remember correctly, we were like the team that was rumored for the most part first, like super early. And we were also one of the first like lockdown teams for the first year of the CDL. So I definitely didn't expect it, but I'm super happy that I did. This next question comes from Saul Sanchez, and his question is, what is your favorite childhood video game? And honestly, I feel like I've always seen this question, I've always given it some thought, and I feel like a game that always comes to my mind no matter what is either Borderlands 1 or Borderlands 2. Or I don't know if it's Borderlands 2 or Borderlands 3. It was whichever one was not the pre-sequel. Those two games, I feel like I made about 20 different characters on probably each game. DLC characters, just playing with my cousins, my brother, my friends. And I don't know, it was honestly just like one of those games that I feel like I could never get sick of. I feel like the humor was always so amazing as for like, I feel like the kid that I was just having so much fun in the game. So definitely can always play Borderlands. This next question comes from Dune, and he asks, how long after first playing COD did you realize you were a lot better than the average player? Also, when did you first realize I could probably make something out of this? And honestly, it was pretty early on when I first started taking competitive. When I just honestly started playing competitive COD, I kind of realized I might be good. It was around early Ghosts, like end of BO2. I didn't really watch COD as like a diehard fan. I was like literally just getting into it as Ghosts. I was starting to like super watch it. And I remember just playing like a GB or two with some school friends and being like, damn, like, look, I kind of got to carry right now. And not like carry, but like I could tell like I was just reading the GB kids way better than I should have been, especially since it was early on. And it was something I kind of just fell in love with, I feel like, right away. And when I first realized I could make something out of it was during Black Ops 3. Black Ops 3 was the first year I really took it serious. I played wagers in AW, I played game battles, XP ladder matches in Ghosts. And BO3 was the first year I was like, alright, I'm gonna start playing tournaments, I'm gonna start going to local lands. And I started just winning like everything I started playing. I ended up I started playing towards like February / like March. I'd say I was starting to like play hella like an extreme amount of like S&D tournaments. And I just started winning, and this is when the S&D team was really popping, so I was making like $200, $300 a tournament. And as a kid who was like in 10th grade, 9th grade, making that kind of cash, especially on video games, I was like, yo, I gotta pursue this. This next question comes from Kunai, and he asks, what's your biggest COD hot take? My biggest COD hot take would probably have to be that jetpacks was the peak of entertainment for Call of Duty. This last question comes from Adopt, and his question is it good to practice for better aim to have bots, but headshots only? And in my best opinion, if you're trying to warm up, if you're trying to work on your aim, you want to practice what you're going to be playing. So you don't want to, I feel like putting headshots only is just going to make you have some weird mental thing with headshots. And yeah, like it might be good to try and focus for the head, but especially with a game like this with a fast time to kill, you want to just make sure you're just hitting your shots. So make sure you, in my opinion, make sure you're playing just normal bots, normal health, and just make sure just have a good time shooting bots, warm up. Anyways, guys, that's gonna do it for this Q&A. Hopefully you guys did enjoy the answers to my questions and just gave you a little bit of insight into my mind. Hopefully you did enjoy the video, and yeah, make sure you drop a like, make sure you sub, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later.